It's still recharging.
Alright, let's try this again. Maybe now my whole PC won't lag to hell. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna turn on the Von Hassler Doctrine. Because why the hell not? I've got a lot of catching up to do.
Just say Hayes.
Just say Hayes and save up to 18,000.
They want a government that works for the big corporations. Am I wrong on this? This idea that the government will work for families just seems like she's really getting out there on the bizarro end. Wow,
I don't even know what that means. Work
it
for
doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean anything. You listen, I saw, they're talking about the border. Is it Julio Castro? He doesn't have a chance.
Mr. Castro.
Mr. Castro. Not the Cuban one, though.
Yes.
It's American. Good American Castro.
He's a good American. Wait.
Well, yeah. He's better than the other Castro.
Well, okay.
Yeah. And so he says something along this is his answer is, well, I think we should start treating the families at the border humanely and not cruelly like this Trump administration. So, what did you just say? Is that your plan? Your plan is you're going to be nicer. That's the plan? Hey, can we get a breakdown of the cost of that? Like, what does that mean? No one is saying anything. I mean, you got to give it to Elizabeth Warren. She's putting policy proposals out there, but nobody goes and digs down and finds, oh, here's another $5 trillion she's going to cost us in the next 3 years. But it's all there, at least. But it's all just these sort of platitudes, and we're not this kind of nation, we're that kind of nation. Well, how do we get from here to there? A detail or two? Something along those lines?
They call me Mayor Pete. I have no time for details.
That guy goes to Black Lives Matter rally, he just gets yelled at.
Yeah. I just quit.
If Black Lives Matter is having a rally and you're the mayor, you should. Okay, you know what? I'm going to go. They're upset with the government. They have they have a grievance, right? And they want redress. And so I'm the mayor, so I'm going to show up. But there's no. If he hadn't shown up, it would have been all about how he's a white mayor and he didn't show up Black Lives Matter. But you do show up, and people just scream at you. Nobody says, "Hey, thanks, Mayor. Thanks for showing up. We've got some concerns we'd like to talk to you about," because it ain't about that. We live in an era where it's not about solving problems. It's about letting people know that I care more than you care. Now, let's go have some mojitos. I mean, that's really what it is.
Don't you see the ribbon?
Yeah,
I'm wearing a ribbon.
Yeah, I got a ribbon, and the drunker I get, the redder the ribbon gets.
I changed my avatar on my Twitter page. I know.
Who cares?
Yeah, everybody. Suddenly, Trump doesn't kill some Iranians, and everybody at MSNBC and CNN is can't wait to go to war. Listen, we have to be on the other side of this guy.
Look, I have an idea. I am pro-choice 100% across the board.
All right, get rid of Planned Parenthood, says Elizabeth Warren.
Trump wants to kill children.
What's that, sorry? Huh?
I know.
Right, yeah.
And I don't think.
Wow, you seem upset or tired or both.
No.
Out of
I'm
breath.
fine. This is exactly the way.
Beer.
I'm gonna get me a beer. Oh.
Lawyer and political commentator Alan Dershowitz issued a warning to Democrats who are calling for Mueller to testify.
Well, they're not calling for him to testify.
Well, he is going to testify.
He's going to, was it July 17th or something like that?
That's right.
He's actually going to testify. Now, Mueller has already said in that little press conference I will only test it. This is my testimony. We'll see if he sticks to it. That he won't answer abstract questions outside of this. This is his testimony. So we'll see if that holds. But what Dershowitz is understanding is, well, Republicans get to ask questions too. So
I think that they're going to regret having called him. Look, I'm a liberal Democrat. I'm on the Democrat side
we
here,
didn't know that,
and I'm
Alan.
trying to stop them from shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, because you can, all this stuff, original FISA warrant, the Steele dossier, all those buzzwords that are killing talk radio, they can actually, the Republicans can actually ask those questions of Mueller if he's there. Now, he can refuse to answer if he's not. He can say to them, everything's in the report. It's going to be interesting because you know that Mueller is leaning toward, I think this guy should be impeached. You can see that in the way that he laid things out. But how far he'll go in this forum will be interesting. If he shuts down Democrats on any question outside of the report, then he can shut down Republicans, I think. But if he starts answering abstract questions to the Dems, I think then he's got to answer questions to the Republicans. All right, that music tells me we're going to walk away for a moment. I'm going to start making out a check to Mark Arum, and then we'll be back.
The Von Haessler Doctrine. It's like an unshakable virus you share with your friends and coworkers. But in this case, after 4 days of forcing it on them, they'll thank you for it. Now, wipe those laughing tears from your face and go viral with EVHDoctrine.com.
Got one of those new slogans for the Von Haessler Doctrine. It's a message more than a slogan. Get your head out of the hate. Yeah, that's my thing.
Wow.
Yeah, is that pulling you in? Because
It's really resonating right now.
Powerful.
the only reason I'm saying it is because Clive Cliverson, my radio consultant / guru, did some research, and the research shows anti-hate is popular.
Yeah, anti-hate is really hot right now. In fact, a lot of marketing companies are really, they what they do is, you slap a sticker or a different color on your logo or whatever your avatar, and it just shows you care, sort of.
I mean, the one thing
Nobody likes hate, right?
Clive.
I hate hate so much I don't hate it.
You presented this idea to me well when you started out by saying, Eric, you don't have to sincerely believe this, but
Exactly.
the research shows
Right.
that the people are anti-hate. So you need to get out there and at least pretend that you are as well.
We know the CEO of TV Guide really cares about gay rights.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So,
Because it's right there on his logo.
yeah, get your head out of the hate.
Get your head out of the hate.
They are,
I
they
love
are,
it.
yeah.
Trademark Eric Bonner.
Appearing sincere is half the battle. That's the important thing, Jared, as you think about getting your own show one day. I hope you are thinking about that. Usurping me.
Of course.
Yeah. So
In fact, in this week's episode of my little podcast, I channeled a little bit of you. I didn't even realize it.
the people on the that he's working with are like, oh, that was a little bit of Eric. And then I said to his cast over at the Power Pad, excuse me. I said, oh, that would be horrible. Why pattern yourself after somebody who puts together 2 legendary shows that are high rated? That would be the worst thing in the world. What are you doing? Studies, surveys, polls, stuffing things?
Lines, graphs,
Yeah.
sketches, you name it, we got it.
Well, we cover it all here, folks. I have to tell you, yesterday I was getting my steps, because I'm doing my steps thing.
You're really proud of this story.
Well, no, I'm just
You're boasting around the office. I got all these steps.
Well, I'm using the office. I got people working on my deck and stuff, and I usually look like a mental patient going around my swimming pool for an hour and a half as I get my steps in, but I can't. There's a lumber back there, and you can't. So yesterday, my wife and I we walked like the Chattahoochee Nature Reserve. It's like a boardwalk.
It's beautiful.
It goes down Willio, and then you turn over into Azalea and all that. Very nice. Very, very nice. And the people were nice. But something I noticed is reality TV is far too influential in our society. People are walking around. They imagine themselves as if they're in their own reality TV show. 3 or 4 different ladies as we're walking toward them. You know that thing with the phone on speaker and your hand is held out, like they're walking and talking with the hand flat. And
Like the Kardashians.
like anybody in reality TV. They don't do that in real life, people. The reasons that's done is because you save a lot of time and expense. I don't have to send a camera crew and recording crew to the other side of the conversation. I can have a recording crew on one side, and I can hear both ends of the conversation. The Kardashians don't do that when the cameras aren't there. But you can see that people, and they're living their own. This lady's walking, and she said, well, I just think that as far as I'm concerned, and she, and it's like, what, the cameras aren't here, honey. Your life is not a reality show. No one did that before reality shows. You never saw people walking around, palm open, speaker phone, having that conversation. Then, as we were walking back, a younger couple walked by, and I just happened to hear this little snippet of conversation, and she said, well, do you feel that sometimes you're too needy? Like, that's right out of a reality show. Like, people are talking to each other like this.
Well, Eric, I mean, like, why did you feel like that? Like, did you feel like maybe you want to be on display a little bit? Like you're pushed down by the society that's growing up around you?
Can we go back to a little less communication between men and women, and the men get together and they all bitch about the women, and the women get together and they all bitch about the men? And that's the way it used to be, and that was the good way. That you still got it out.
It's interesting.
It's interesting for you to know how my feelings feel.
What if you're gender neutral? Who are you going to bitch about then?
Well, I don't.
Everyone.
Yeah, hey, look, no one, because I'm neutral. I'm like Switzerland.
Okay.
What's it like to feel so neutral?
Yeah, I'd love to keep.
Does it feel isolated? A little isolating?
I'm going to leave you here in the Chattahoochee swamps.
But I can't swim. I don't feel good about that.
Did you suddenly hear music in the background, much like The Bachelorette?
I mean, I'm looking for you to meet my
this
family
kind of conversation.
Soon. And I felt like it was a slap in the face.
All right, stop. Up to like 1990, this guy gets tossed out of every corner bar he's at.
Just talking.
I don't know what you're talking about. I saw what you did, and that was a signal to me. You see, that's not something men ever used to say that weren't actual psychiatrists. Well, that signals to me that. But people are just I believe this, that they see themselves in their own reality show. Autumn probably does all the time. She loves reality shows.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to win.
That's a slap in the face, Autumn.
It's a real slap in the face.
Alan enjoys being slapped in the face. Hey, that's not what this show's about anymore. We say get your head out of the hatred. That's what I say.
Well, for him, it's fetish.
Hey, you don't have a show, people. You don't have a reality show. Stop acting like you have a reality show. All right, now let's do this. That off my chest.
It's time for studies, surveys, and polls on the von Hessler Doctrine.
By the way, very, very quickly, I was reminded that because now I have this new campaign, "Get Your Head Out of the Hate." I was reminded that in the past, I have championed other causes, and it hasn't worked out very well. I think later in the show, we'll dig up some of the audio archives of PSA's gone wrong. Let's put it that way. I got bad information. Or it might have been my delivery. I don't know. But we'll do that a little bit later. Right now, study, survey, poll, whatever. Toss anything you want at me.
Well, 2/3 of American employees regret their college degrees. So this is a new survey.
2/3. And nobody is going to hold the campuses responsible. I don't know what it is about colleges. They're sacrosanct as far as people and politicians and everybody. Nobody likes all the student debt. Now we're going to forgive 18 gazillion trillion billion dollars worth of student. Okay, it was free. School needs to be free. It's the only institution where the actual thing at the center, they don't ask a question, well, why does it cost so much? And are we getting a good deal out of this? Is it worth the money? Nobody ever goes after the actual colleges, which I don't, look, I don't want to go after, so I want to be generalized here. So I hear on radio, some station, there's the thing about how it's time to make the big drug companies. We got to bring them down to size because it's all greed. You know that drug companies only care about their profits, not about your. So I don't disagree with that.
I'm never waiting this long for an AOTC kill again.
Drugs cost too much.
Get it out of the way early.
And people are going after the government for that.
First
and
1 or 2 weeks.
Big pharma
just get it done.
Colleges are never criticized for adding yet another gender bender studies department? What does that cost? When they have guarantee, you know. And then I'm listening to that prescription thing, and I'm thinking, we are so spoiled. There's an underlying idea underneath that look at the calendar, it's 2019. We would have had all of these life-enhancing and life-saving drugs anyway. That's the attitude. You know, those companies, they're terrible. I mean, yeah, they did the research and development and invented all of these life-enhancing and but there's some kind of idea that, oh, that just happens naturally over time. Yeah,
things invent themselves.
Yeah, things invent themselves. And besides, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, they're going to create the next big drug.
I'm in a lab right now working on a cure for cancer.
Yeah, my guess is Bernie Sanders has no idea how to create the next. I'm not saying there isn't an issue. I'm not saying there isn't something to go after. But the idea that you have companies that create life-enhancing and life-saving drugs, save lives, and they're the enemy. Use your own brain. Don't follow the crowd all the time. Use reason. Reason will save you in this world. How is it possible that the entities that created the life-saving drugs are the enemy? Okay, if they're the enemy and you get them out of the way, who creates the next life-enhancing drug? The government? Oh, good. I wonder what a smartphone would look like today if only the government had created smartphones.
You have to carry it in a wheelbarrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we got to make sure that 2/3 of it are done by minority-owned companies. And, you know,
oh, my God.
All right.
The biggest regret, by the way,
Let's
when it
fucking
came to
do
those
this.
college degrees was the humanities degrees, the arts, social
But
sciences.
they'll get away with the scam, humanities degrees. These people are taking money and pushing people out of those colleges. Little added benefit for the professors, make them walk out the door hating their country a little more than when they walked in. You get that little benefit, added value on top as a professor. And no one ever, it's the only kind of business or institution where nobody says, well, is it worth it? Are you guys doing your job? I mean, if hospitals were just pushing dead people out into the street, people would ask questions about the hospital. But, tuitions go up way too much. It's a national scandal. And it turns out all these humanities degrees, well, for the most part, you get nothing out of.
Well, I got my degree in communication.
Yeah, well, you're not a very good communicator.
I did.
Yeah,
I did
well,
too.
you made it.
I did too.
I got my degree in nothing.
Hard knocks.
Nothing.
Life.
I dropped out of the 9th grade. I'm not necessarily proud of that, but for heaven's sakes.
I saw a bumper
I
sticker.
never had welfare. I was born.
You didn't at all? You guys didn't have food stamps?
We had, when my father left, we had food stamps for 6 months.
Yeah.
My mother hadn't worked in 3 or 4 years. My father suddenly left. We got food stamps for 6 months, and as soon as she didn't need them, they were ended. By the way, the best meals of my young life. Every Sunday was like steak and corn and.
Was your mom like my mom? Go to the next town over where people don't know you and you.
No, I don't think my mom cared.
Yeah,
she had that, and that was when it wasn't a card.
No, it was
that
fake
big
money.
Play Monopoly money. Everybody knew loser.
Hey, Thomas Jefferson was on it.
But maybe it worked. Maybe that worked.
It did.
Maybe because of that, my mom didn't want to be doing that as more than she absolutely had to. But look, I think people should be educated. I'm not somebody saying, hey, I didn't go to college, you shouldn't go to college. But everybody shouldn't go to college.
That's not true.
It's an absurd idea that everybody should go to college. You know, all the left tells us is we're all different colors and stripes and rings, but everybody, there's only one way to success. Everybody has to be, some people aren't ready for college. Some people don't have the temperament for college. You know, I've said it before. Oh, everybody has to be a coder. Because in the future, you know, it's going to be all coding of algorithms. Yeah, they're going to still need electricity? Okay, well, then being an electrician also guarantees that I have work. People still going to sit down twice a day and leave their waste in a bowl? Okay, plumbers are going to be needed for a good long time. Everybody shouldn't go to college. And if you're just going there for the experience, that's the worst idea.
You can just live in a college town and get the experience.
And if you're a parent who insists your kid go where you went, oh, come on.
He's a legacy.
What is he, just like you?
Yeah, she's
There's
going
no
to
difference.
Harvard just like me,
He's
even though
not
he's dumb.
just like you. He's doing way more LSD than you ever did.
No, I find that hard. I find that very difficult to believe.
What a horrible existence. I want my kids to do exactly. I'm a doctor, you'll be a doctor. What kind of parenting is that? Be whatever the hell you want to be.
You
have no autonomy.
Yeah. We decided when you were 8 that you'd be a lawyer. Now, come on.
I stocked shelves for 40 years. You're gonna stock shelves.
Maybe you love surfing and you go out there and you're a surf bum for a while, and then you meet somebody and he makes surfboards and you're good at pitching ideas, and who knows where it ends up. Everybody doesn't have to go to college.
It does say that 51.
But the colleges do well when all the politicians and everyone says everyone has to go to college. And then student loans are handed out like candy. And then you get candidates who say, hey, I know it's wrong. It's against the law for me to speak to you one-on-one and buy your vote. But hey, millennials, make me president and I'll get rid of all of your student loan debt. It's the same damn thing.
Now, there is something where baby boomers and millennials can come together on this, and that is that 51% of baby boomers don't like their college degree either.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Look at that. There's
been going on.
commonality.
It's been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
I'm the last year of the baby boom, supposedly, 1964. We're the dropout generation. I did fine. Looking at the news monitors up there. There's always a story of this person can't be found. Like a wife who can't find her. And it's always a husband. It's the same thing. I don't know. She went jogging and she just didn't come back. And that's odd because she jogs every night, and every other night up to yesterday she came back. Like it's to me. I believe in the legal system. Yeah, put him in prison.
Lock him up. Eventually, you'll find out he did it.
Yeah. She went jogging, didn't come back. We heard it before, sir. Get in the cruiser. Get in the cruiser. I don't know. It's not like her. Usually, after jogging, she comes back.
Usually at 12:58 p.m. I've timed it out every day.
It's just there's a lot of crazy people in this world. You just don't know who they are until they erupt in their weird ways. I don't know. Maybe she just got lost. Maybe she's still jogging. Maybe she just lost track of time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's not her blood on my shovel.
Yeah, no. Oh, well, last week we were gardening.
Yeah, she cut herself on the shovel.
And I very lovingly applied a Band-Aid, but, she seemed happy as could be, so I'm going out for my daily jog. And let me reiterate, she almost always comes back until yesterday. Put him in jail. Hour 2 of the Von Hassler Doctrine begins right now. What's the matter, Jared? You look upset about something.
I was, you know what? I haven't slept in 2 days. I've been watching that countdown clock.
Oh, I know.
I'm just tired.
When does that debate start? Can you tell me exactly how long?
10 hours, 52 minutes, and 32 seconds.
I can't wait. Oh, my God.
10 hours?
Yeah.
So, what does this start at 9?
Starts at 9 o'clock.
Oh, man, I got to stay up for that.
We have special coverage here on WSB at 8 o'clock.
Yes, you can skip it. Come over to my house. We'll watch Below Deck.
Ooh, tonight, new episode.
Yeah, I got to go to Maryland to watch
Come on, you can make it.
Yeah.
You guys
Just
can watch
leave
it together
right
and then put the
No,
phone
this
on
is one of
speaker.
those things. It's like
Hold it like a reality show.
Yeah, I'm the host
Can you
of
believe that?
I'm the host of it. Well, one thing is funny. Didn't Trump say he's going to live tweet
Yes.
through the debates? Keep an eye on that. I don't do the Twitter, so I almost feel like, just go to sleep, wake up the next day, and just.
It'll be there for you.
I know, but there's the thing. My problem is that people don't notice what I notice. So anything that's going to be big on the news tomorrow, and to me, there'll be something else that would drive me crazy that no one will comment on. And it won't happen until the 42nd minute or something.
Well, when you get home today, take a nice cat nap. So that way
I can't take a cat nap.
Why
I
not?
have steps that have to be made.
Do your steps when you're watching the
That's
debate.
right. The net. You'll be staying up later.
Yeah.
So maybe you could live stream it on your phone while you're walking around your pool.
I can't walk around my pool. There's currently work.
Oh,
work
your
people.
life.
Have your wife move your legs while you're sleeping.
Just like that.
Like you're in a
Or
coma.
maybe get a machine or something
Yeah.
just to kind of keep pumping my legs.
You need a stationary bike.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right. You got some open mics, I believe?
Yes, these are all from the WSB
Is it
radio.
open mics or opens mic?
Open
It's
mics.
opens mics.
Whatever you like.
Yeah, okay, Mike.
You know what, guys? I've realized something.
Really?
Anybody who calls in to the show should kind of be a bit of a disclaimer. Because if you call in to leave an open mic for Eric Von Heckler, you're going to get roasted. No exceptions.
That's right. I know. I gotta say something. I think that guy sounds completely reasonable to me. Seems like a good guy too, doesn't he? Seems like a nice
Wonderful
guy. Somebody you'd want to have a beer with, or if he doesn't drink, I'm sorry about O'Doul's perhaps. But it seems all around. My reaction to that is that seems like a hell of a good, nice guy, and I appreciate the fact that he left that open mic. You got another one for me?
This is Mitchell from Cartersville. While I support more jobs for Georgia, I cannot support foreign-owned jobs. Governor Kemp is wasting his and our tax dollars, time, over there in South Korea. He needs to be over here in America soliciting American-owned businesses to come to Georgia. And he should be wanting to support American-owned businesses. Make in America, buy in America, support American-owned companies.
Okay. All right.
There's
You
a
stop
bomb
it.
in the background.
I don't know what's going on in the background. It's like somebody's trying to start a fire with 2 rocks or something in the background. It's on some flint. This is good. I just want if you can keep that going throughout all my remarks. This is why. Stop.
Oh.
This is why. This is why I can't stand populism. Even if you get some stuff up front that seems good, it always ends in this. Populism it's always us against them. And sometimes that's legitimate at the beginning of a populist movement, but it doesn't apply to everything ever after. It's always fueled by anger. Because in what that gentleman left with us, facts were of no interest to him. He's got a gut feeling. Why don't we go to South Korea and we have people? All right, first of all, you have the lowest unemployment rate since 1969. If you're of sound mind and body and you don't have a job right now, it's because of you, for whatever reason. Drop the meth for 8 to 10 hours a day, squeeze a work day in there, then come home, put your feet up, do your meth. I don't know. You got to shape your life around it, I think, to a certain degree. But so South Korea, I got this from a story from the AJC. I know. Oh, they're a bunch of, these are facts. South Korea, major source of investment for the state, $2 billion in projects announced in Georgia over the past year. SK Innovation, $1.7 billion factory they're building in Georgia. There are at least 24 Georgia companies with operations in South Korea, but Georgia is the home to 113 Korean facilities that employ 9,000 Georgians. Now, I don't know if they all were born in the state of Georgia. I imagine that a great overwhelming majority of them are Americans. So this is the problem with populism. It always becomes us against them, and I don't need to know your facts because I've got a gut feeling. But this guy's saying we need to have jobs right here. South Korean industries are employing 9,000 Georgians. So it bothers you that the CEO is from South Korea?
Yeah, that giant Kia plant down in LaGrange, Georgia doesn't mean anything.
It was a huge thing because when the Kia plant went there, what happens in reading about it is there's a lot of smaller firms in South Korea that can't afford to do all the legwork to go to all 50 states and figure out which was better. They just say, hey, Kia went. They've been there for a few years. Then they reinvested more money there. Well, if Kia's there, it must be a good state. We'll go as well. How did they get Kia here? The governor at the time was over there wooing them, asking them, So that's but the bigger point here is you might get a little something out of populism at first, but it will always end bad for attitudes like that. Politics always fueled by anger, us against them, and I'm tired of them winning. Somebody needs to stand up for us, and you just apply it to anything without looking into the fact that South Korean firms currently employ 9,000 Georgians. I haven't talked to every one of them. My guess is overwhelming majority Americans. 100% living in the state of Georgia, spending their money at grocery stores. For heaven's sakes. I don't want to know about no facts. Populism is always bad. Ultimately, it's always bad. All right, we're going to do this?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
More headlines for Wednesday, June 26th.
Got to have a reasoned approach. Representative democracy. That's what I believe in.
Yes.
You vote for a guy, and then 2 years later, you go, I don't know. Okay, thumbs up, thumbs down. 4 years later, or gal.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
You know, we have 11 more Sundays until the Falcons officially kick off, Eric.
Oh, wow. Are they doing that alone, or is the entire NFL kicking off?
The entire NFL
Okay,
kicks off.
all right.
But you know what? I'm selfish because I'm a Falcons fan.
I know you are.
And this is a great study.
Are you still doing studies, surveys, and polls?
Well, you know what? I figured that I'd break a few rules.
No, just say I'm Jared, and I'm living in the past. Go ahead.
I'm Jared, and I'm living in the past.
Okay.
This is a study from Emory's Dr. Mike Lewis.
Do you do it alone? It's weird to do a study when you're completely alone.
Oh, he did it all by himself. Took him 10 years.
So it's Dr. Emory from Lewis University?
Emory's Dr. Mike Lewis.
I got that wrong. Okay.
And he ranked all of the NFL's fan bases based on key factors that I'll explain in a second.
Yeah.
And the Falcons have the 13th best fan base in the league.
We're number 13.
Yay!
No wonder we're such a curse on the team. 13 is a terrible thing to be. I don't believe that, by the way. I don't believe that. I think, if you, at the time that they overlap, go to a UGA game on Saturday and attend a Falcons game on Sunday, and you'll see the difference between what a real fan base brings to a stadium. So, I mean, I love the Falcons, but I'm really critical of. And I think some of it is because it's a college football town, and people gravitate toward the Falcons because they have some success. But
Dr. Lewis would say that that's an old school way of looking at it because his measurement
Dr. Lewis can meet me out back.
Settle it like men.
I'm just gonna write him a strongly worded letter.
He says that he ranks this NFL fandom report is what it's in.
What are his metrics?
He ranks it on attendance, revenues, social media following,
baloney,
and road attendance to develop the model of fan
social
interest.
Media following. It has nothing. What is it? Boy, it really helps the team if everybody goes on Twitter and says, Matt Ryan looks great this afternoon.
Hashtag rise up.
He sees that. And then come on. That has nothing to do with it.
Hey, okay.
This is the example that I'll use. You know that I'm from Western New York. My favorite NFC team is the Atlanta Falcons because I've been here since 1998. But I grew up with the Buffalo Bills. We don't have to go into what a heartbreak, terrorizing thing that is to live your life as a Buffalo Bills fan. But a couple of years ago, the Bills played the Falcons here. Now, we walk into Mercedes-Benz, which at that time I think might have been the first full season. Was it the year after the Super Bowl that they went to? Or was that their second season of Mercedes-Benz?
That was the first year.
Yeah, I think it was. Okay. Yeah. So Mercedes-Benz is new. It's a team, the home team had lost, but had been in the Super Bowl the previous January. Going into this game, the Falcons were 3-0. So they'd been in the Super Bowl. They'd won the first 3 games of the season. And I walked in there. I don't like going and rooting for the other team. I'm not a big fan of that, but my family forced me. Let me tell you something. The Bills fans owned the stadium. To get Falcons fans riled up, I don't know what you have to do. To get them riled up. Meanwhile, up in Buffalo, where they made the playoffs once in the last half century, they still fill the stadium That's a fan base.
No.
A fan base isn't, I love the New England Patriots. How difficult is that? The Cleveland Browns fan base. That's a fan base. The people who didn't leave when they lost 1 game in 2 seasons.
They go have
That's
fun.
A fan base. A New England Patriots fan or a Dallas Cowboys or, my granddaddy and my diddy was, that's not fandom.
Well, that's part of the elite. The top 5 are Cowboys, Patriots, Eagles, Giants, and Steelers, which makes sense.
Well,
but I think you're just
successful
bitter
franchises.
because Dr. Lewis ranks the Bills 19th.
That's idiotic. That's idiotic. I don't care what the records are. You go to a Falcons game and then follow that up by going to a Buffalo Bills game, and you tell me which group was more excited and excitable. The Bills fans stand up and sing an entire song when they make a field goal.
He does say when you break it down in the fan equity, the Bills do have a better ranking than the Falcons. It says the Bills are 17th and the Falcons are 23rd in that category. But social media, the Bills are struggling. They're 21st.
Best fans are Raiders fans, Bills fans, Browns fans, teams that keep their fan base even though they deliver absolutely no product to their fans. I have to ask about this. Did you tell me, because now we know that O.J. Simpson is now on Twitter.
Hey, Twitter world.
Hey, Twitter world.
Now, you told me he doesn't seem to tweet a lot. He just does these videos.
He does
right?
little videos where he's always at the golf course or in his backyard. And this most recent one, he's sitting in a golf cart while the wind is blowing.
Yeah.
He needs a mic screen.
Get a mic, for heaven's sakes. What's wrong with people?
And
nobody wants to hear.
And then at the end, he drives away.
No, very dramatically.
Yeah.
So, what does he have? Somebody following him around? So hey, I want to do one right now.
Well, he probably has an assistant. Yeah.
So he's got an assistant
or a woman. I'm sure he's got a girlfriend.
I don't have an assistant.
Well, he has a girlfriend.
Now he more deserves an assistant than a girlfriend.
You're not an NFL Hall of Famer.
That's true.
The juice.
I got to give you that. So what's his thing about?
Well, yesterday was the 10th anniversary of when we lost Michael.
Jackson?
My MJ, yeah. And I woke up this morning, I wanted to reflect on that.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years, and most of that time I was incarcerated.
He doesn't say that.
So he talks about taking his kids up there?
Michael invited me up. He said, why don't you bring the kids up to the Neverland Ranch? And we went there, and the kids had a good time, and I had a really good time. And so I said, I'll bring the kids back. Now, Michael was never there. But when we went there, he always left gifts for them. So, Mike, I could never debate anybody about what he did or didn't do. But all respect to Michael. Rest in peace.
You say it was a peaceful place to be.
It's very peaceful. Whenever I went there, all the murderous, hateful thoughts I had just washed down my back. And I didn't feel like killing.
Yeah, no killing thoughts at Neverland.
Michael had a strict no-knife policy whenever he went there. So I left my knife in his house, and we went out, and I rode the giraffe.
Given the controversies out there, I got to feel like the Michael Jackson estate is very welcoming of O.J. Simpson's endorsement of Michael Jackson's character.
I'm glad that they are because, look, I was always a fan. I'm a guy from Southern California.
Yeah.
And I ended up in Western New York, of all places, where it snowed. And, you're around people, and I love the Jackson 5. And then I also love Michael. Thriller was a great album. Nicole, it was her favorite record.
Oh, okay, we don't have to. Maybe you get into too much information
and
here.
Her favorite song was Beat It.
No, I don't know.
What?
All right, O.J. Simpson.
She's in the video for Thriller.
Hey, Twitter world.
In your mind, she was in the video for Thriller.
And then I ran.
Have you, Tim Andrews? Do you follow OJ now?
Oh, of course.
Oh, for heaven's sake!
Why wouldn't you?
It's super entertaining.
There is no line between fame and infamy. It's gone. All right, now Autumn, don't freak out. We are going to get to WTF.
Oh boy.
But I just learned some information.
Okay.
That comes from the irredeemable septic tank of social media. I guess every once in a while I can spit something interesting out. So what is good? So there was this lady, E-Jean, what's her name? The one who was on the cover.
E-Jean Carroll.
She's on the cover of The New Yorker, claiming that Trump
assaulted her,
sexually assaulted her in a dressing room. What's the name of that place? Bergdorf.
Bergdorf's.
No, the Bo Bergdahl.
Oh, Bergdorf.
Bergdorf, I believe.
Yeah.
Bergdorf Goodman's or something.
Yeah. So this is a big store in Manhattan.
Yeah.
And that was supposed to. So remember,
she was trying on lingerie.
Okay, she said she was trying on lingerie, and then he forced himself on. Okay, so let's go back to when she was on Anderson Cooper a couple of nights ago, and she totally freaked Anderson Cooper out when she said she thinks most people think of rape as sexy. And then Anderson Cooper, like, gulp, let's take a break. But listen very closely to everything that's said here, because then we'll get to what's going on social media.
I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not.
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
You're fascinating to talk to.
That's weird at the end. Think of the fantasies line. Okay, so people in the world have gone and found an episode of Law and Order
at Law and Order SVU.
Yeah, SVU. That's
Yes.
Special Victims Unit.
Correct.
And they deal with sex crimes.
Sex crimes, and a lot of times the hook of the episode will be ripped from the headline.
Absolutely.
Except this is preemptive of that.
Well, no, I mean, it may have been ripped from the headlines at the time.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So
this is from
Kevin Pollak. He is a judge.
Yeah.
And he's being accused of rape in several different situations. And
here's a real quick synopsis of the episode. He and a bunch of other people are into these sugar babies, and their fantasies are, kinky sex. And he was tricked into doing that with somebody who he thought he was communicating with.
Okay, so Basically, what he's saying is these women have this fantasy,
Yes.
and I provide this fantasy. At one point in the episode, he's listing different encounters that he's had, and then he gets to this one.
Did anyone want to role play a rape with you in a public place?
Yes, there was one, a bit plain, and it was not her fantasy, it was mine. Roleplay took place in the dressing room of Bergdorf's. While she was trying on lingerie, I would burst in.
Interesting.
Wow. That's from 2012.
What are the odds? Now, there is such a thing as coincidence in this world. But you're right about the fact that Law & Order often, almost always, gets their stories out of real stories.
Right.
So if this was done in 2012, it comes from a story before 2012. She could be familiar with that. And then there's this telling of that. And there's the chance that there's no connection. But did you say that YouTube took down a lot of the speculation that was going on?
There were videos up last night, and as soon as they go up, they take them down. And I got that from Daily Motion.
Oh, wait a minute. The FCC's on the line. We have to change the subject.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's do this.
What the?
Seriously, what the?
WTF with Autumn Fisher.
I'm just saying that's one hell of a coinky-dink. As my Aunt Mary used to call them, coinky-dinks.
Well, and then the way that she was acting in that interview.
Yeah.
Doesn't give her much credit, Yeah, you're real interesting to talk to.
But remember, she said under her breath,
okay.
She said the fantasies. I'm talking about, but she freaked him out by saying, I think most people think of sex as rape as sexy. She explains herself by saying, the fantasies, and this is exactly what they're talking about in that Law and Order thing.
Remember, there is only one side when it comes to cases like this, and you guys are on the wrong side of it.
Okay. By the way, who do you think the first person was to ever use the term coinky-dink? I had to start somewhere.
I feel like it was your aunt.
Yep, it may have been my Aunt Mary. She just didn't like the word coincidence. One didn't have enough zing for her, I guess.
Well, gee, what a coinky-dink.
That's quite a coinky-dink. I heard that quite often. Let's see. We're out of chocolate cookies, and you have chocolate on your face, Eric. That's quite a coinky-dink.
You were nice enough to
did you eat those?
Nope.
Oh, wow, what a coinky-dink.
All right, WTF, what do you got for us?
All right, scientists are imagining how humans may look in the future due to technology use.
Is this the horn thing again? Do I have to hear this horn
There's
story?
More.
All right.
There's more now.
Are we sprouting? Vegetables from our toes now, or something?
Not exactly.
Okay.
It's hunched backs and double eyelids.
Double eyelids. This is evolution. They're talking about way in the future because if we keep
like
on
100 years in the future.
No, it'll be more than 100 years. So evolution takes a very long time. It would be maybe a million, right?
Yeah.
Listen to me.
Years.
Humans in fewer than 100 years may also have claw-like hands from gripping their phones.
No, that's not. People don't understand how evolution works.
This is in the dailystar.co.uk, and it's a very prestigious.
Yeah, you're right about that.
That's true.
I can't argue with the source. That's for sure.
This woman looks like a zombie in the picture.
I mean,
She looks terrifying.
Double eyelids, you need at least a couple million years.
No.
Why would you have those anyway?
Well, why would you
It's
have
to
the double?
protect from the light that's coming off of all of our screens.
I guess while I'm waiting on this, I could
People get paid by the word, right?
do the
and
new
they just have to
content.
write something. And put this out there in the 100. Because I've talked about this before. In the 70s, they always had these people called futurists, and you'd read their books. It was always like, in the future, we'll have edible paper. Nobody. Why would I want to have we'll have edible paper. No one saw the smartphone, and we still don't have edible paper. So the idea of what's going to happen in the future, and the way that evolution works is a bunch of people would have to die based on their hunched overness, or that's a lot of people to walk into traffic and die looking at their phone before evolution jumps in and goes,
Right.
okay, only the offspring of those who don't look down while crossing the street will live.
The other thing too is
Right, because part of this includes like a smaller brain and a thicker skull.
Well, we already have that.
The other thing they
called
assume,
reality TV.
They assume too that we're going to be carrying around these blocks that we call phones now by then.
It'll just be in your head. Yeah, that's
not
you
gonna be
can't-
like that.
You can't tell the future. It's the fact that none of these futurists saw the smartphone. That's all I need to tell you. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the future. You can hear all this stuff. Oh, the world's gonna end. And you'll be okay, all right. You won't be there. I could make a bet with you that it's not gonna end. I don't think the world's gonna end in the next couple hundred years, unless we do it with nukes or something like that. But I can make a bet with you, but neither of us will be there to find out, so that somebody can win the bet or lose the bet.
You could be gloating from heaven.
Ha ha ha.
Listen, we might be there. It says in fewer than 100 years. That could be tomorrow.
No, it's not. There's no way
Oh
you
my
get...
God, I have two
Yeah,
eyelids.
let me tell you something. You get a double eyelid baby in the next 100 years. There's something went wrong at a nuclear site somewhere. It had nothing to do with the
No,
double...
we went on vacation to Chernobyl. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I just wanted to take a tour because of that show.
Yeah, we're taking a show. We're taking a tour of all my favorite Netflix shows. We spent a month in Chernobyl. They say it's safe.
Okay, what is she saying? Everything's too quiet.
Oh yeah, the Geiger. It's called a...
She's not responding! Set the sails! Set the sails! We can't escape!
Welcome to Nazjatar. I've been waiting for you.
Cool.
Geiger counter.
See, I was going to say Geiger counter, but for some reason I thought that was for earthquakes.
Well, it's not. I think for earthquakes,
Isn't that the
Richter
Geiger
scale.
Is that, well, the Richter, well, the Richter scale registers the earthquake. It doesn't. You know, I guess it'd be the same. Geiger
I get my
counter.
Steve Geiger and my Steve Richter confused.
Well, those two, and also I get the Richter scale mixed up with the hot jalapeno scale. What's that called? Skokie or something like that?
Oh, Scoville?
Yeah, Scoville.
That's a fake thing, too. That doesn't really exist.
It's not real?
No, you can't really measure Scoville. It varies wildly.
Well, you know, if you want to, if you wish you were, I don't understand why people put like, I eat the hottest peppers because why? Because you're a masochist? Why would you enjoy?
I just wanted to prove I could, bro.
It's like cutting. It's like cutting, right?
Yeah.
Like I can feel something in my mouth and it hurts my body, so I don't think.
So what you're saying is that eating hot peppers is a cry for help. That's what you're
I think
saying.
so.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
A
well.
lot of young girls are sneaking hot peppers behind the school, you know.
Hey, they're kids, right? Kids will be kids.
Right.
Next WTF story.
So I want to present this next story, and then I want to give some commentary about the article itself.
Well, let's do number one, and we'll see if I'll allow you to.
All right.
So sit down and give us number two.
So Samuel L. Jackson posted a picture on his Instagram of himself in the new Spider-Man movie where his eye patch is on the wrong eye.
Okay.
And he's very upset about it. Whatever. The article.
Hold on. Did he post the picture, or he's upset about a picture?
Well, he posted the picture of the discrepancy.
Right.
But the article titles it like this: Samuel L. Jackson unleashed an expletive-laden rant on Instagram about an error in a Spider-Man Far From Home poster.
And what did he say? Like, what the hell or something?
Yes, all he said was, "What the actual blank is going on here?" That's it. An expletive-laden means plural expletives, and then rant makes you feel like he said paragraphs about how upset he was. He just said like, "Hey, what's up with this?"
You think that family members had to calm him down?
Woo! Again, it's just like the previous article that we talked about. Like people just they have a deadline to make, and they just are coming up with other moves.
There's also the the whole thing of the clickbait thing.
Yeah.
You said on my Google aggregator, the Google News thing. You pick certain things you're interested in. I'm interested in music, and I must have looked at something from. It's kind of a heavier, I think it's called blabbermouth.net or something. It's a music thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so now their headlines come up. And I got fooled like 2 times. But yeah, it's always Paul McCartney tells the most disgusting story about Ozzy Osbourne. And you click through and you read it, it's like they were supposed to meet at a hotel, but Ozzy was late. I mean, literally, it's less than something when you finally get there.
I stepped in dog poo. It was disgusting. It was disgusting while I was waiting for Uzi.
Yeah. It just never ends. It's always so it's just clickbait. That's all
I hated it. It made me really mad. Made me blood red mad.
Yeah, because the eye patch was on the wrong eye. Made you mad.
Hold on. So that was it a reverse image or something? They just
yes,
put it back
maybe
up.
whoever created the poster maybe used whatever reversed image of him. It was.
No one would have noticed the person who noticed the Law and Order episode. that person would have noticed.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Well, I'm glad he's a big Falcons fan.
Yes, he is.
Rise up.
Rise up, Sammy. You'll be all right. What if anybody calls him Sam? Like somebody close to him, like an uncle? Or Sam? I call him
Sam Jackson.
Sam Jackson, okay. But it seems like, it just seems weird because there's somebody still, because it could start when you're like 4 years old and the person just doesn't catch on.
Right.
Not only do you say Samuel, but you almost always add your middle initial. But there's somebody in the family that still, hey, Sammy.
If you met Robert De Niro, would you call him Bobby?
That's another one. Or Bob.
Bob De Niro.
Bob De Niro.
We're on the set with Bob.
Hey, I'm Bob De Niro. America loves me. Right at the last act, before I die, I'm going to make half of America hate me for no good reason. Yeah,